Coming up next on Arizona Horizon, we'll look at a bill that eliminates the sales tax on residential rental properties. Also tonight, reaction from a students group on higher education budget cuts, and we'll learn about a school that helps sick children keep their grades healthy. Those stories next on Arizona Horizon.
Arizona Horizon is made possible by contributions from the Friends of Eight, members of your Arizona PBS station. Thank you.
Good evening and welcome to Arizona Horizon. I'm Ted Simons. A bill being considered in the state legislature eliminates the transaction tax on residential rental properties, which proponents say would lower rental rates. But those against the idea say it would result in devastating hits to municipal general funds. Joining us now is Representative Darren Mitchell, the sponsor of the bill. And also with us is the mayor of Chandler, Jay Tibshraeny, who opposes the legislation. Good to have you both here. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you.
This rental transaction tax, what exactly does it do?
Well, the bill eliminates the ability for cities to charge a residential rental tax. So right now, about 70 of the 92 cities in the state charge it, and they've been doing it for about 20 or 25 years, and this will seek to eliminate that ability to do so.
Okay, why is the bill necessary?
Well, we've been looking, I hear stories all the time in the legislature, both sides of the aisle, that, we need to help people in need, and we need to play fair. Taxes should be transparent and level. This is one of those taxes that are levied by some cities, not by all, and it hits those. It just happens to be that renters, on average, earn about half as much as homeowners. So it targets folks who earn less money. Maybe they're young folks starting out, or on retirees, or anyone else, or the working poor, and they're being targeted with this tax.
Lower income folks being targeted with this tax. You agree?
That's a misnomer. It's taxed on all residential rentals. I was meeting with a developer yesterday that's planning to do a project in Chandler. Their rents are going to average between $1,000 and $2,000 a month. That's a typical rent we see in Chandler. So this legislation is really not aimed at helping the working poor. It's a special interest tax break pushed by the Multifamily Association, and that's why it's not really for the poor. And that particular bill, this bill as it's written, will cost the cities and towns throughout the state of Arizona about $87 million a year as we speak. That's general fund money. That's how we pay for police and fire and libraries and park maintenance and what have you. And so it's a critical hit to cities' budgets, and that rightfully so. We're very concerned about taking that kind of hit when we're just coming out of what was a really deep recession for all of us.
Respond, please, to the idea that that's a misnomer, what you were talking about.
I hear it all the time. It's just not the case. That may be your average rents in Chandler on a certain complex are that way, and it may be, but you're not looking at the income of the folks that are living there. So the income for the average renter, 35% of the households in the state of Arizona rent. I think it's $32,000 is their annual income, their median annual income, whereas $64,000 is the median income for homeowners in Arizona. So it is hitting those who make less money.
Well, it's hitting them if the landlords choose to pass on the tax to the renters. With this bill, is there a guarantee that the landlords would then cut the rental rates?
There's two things. Number one is, if you have a lease right now, say this law went into effect tomorrow, your lease will say $1,000 a month, and then the municipal tax is another line item. So if this went into law tomorrow, you pay the rent, you pay the lease amount, not the lease plus the tax. But I did have questions about this, particularly from my friends on the Democrat side. So I wrote an amendment that said any savings from the inaction of this bill must pass through to the renter. So I think we're covered on that.
What'll happen, even if you guys do put that into the bill, maybe they can do it for one lease term, but then they'll absorb that and they'll charge the higher rents. They won't give them a credit for what was sales tax. And I'll go back to this is for the working poor. I'm not going to buy that. I'm not going to buy that. 2 of your votes last week tells me you weren't really looking out for the working poor then. The flex loan bill, the payday loan bill, which I think is one of the most onerous and financially speaking.
If we're going to widen the argument, I want to have time to discuss these.
Yeah, that's fine. But you're talking about this is for the poor, and then I look at your vote on the flex loan bill, which is at some points 216% in interest and fees. And then in the budget, the TANF, temporary assistance for the working poor. We went to be the strictest state in terms of helping the working poor and their children and their families. So I can't buy that this is for the working poor when your votes last week don't reflect that.
Respond, please.
Sure. First of all, I'm talking about allowing people to keep their own money. I'm not talking about government programs that hand out money to people. I'm talking about the working poor being able to keep the $20 a month or $40 a month so that they can spend it. And when they do spend it, it's going to go to TPT, which will be revenue shared for the cities anyway. My vote on the flex loans was because I think those people who need them ought to have that option. That it's not up to us to decide that they don't even have an option.
That's another bill that's pushed by special interest, the payday loan bill, and it would be devastating to those folks.
I might
that
add
borrow
on
that.
this special interest argument, this bill was my bill. Yes, don't argue with me on this. You don't know. I was researching this bill before anyone else came to me with it. It happens to be that the Multifamily Association also liked the bill, but this was my bill. I was researching
I think critics will also point out that you are a former contractor, correct?
I am.
And you built apartments and homes.
I built homes.
Do you see any question regarding that association?
I didn't build rental homes. I mean, I built custom homes, but
Do you understand the criticism and the question, though, from those who see that association?
I think I've been asked by those who oppose it, do I own rentals? I do not. So I don't see any self-interest there.
The idea that this could be double taxation, I mean, these property owners, they already pay property taxes, and now the idea is this rental tax comes on top of that. There could even be corporate taxes on top of that. I mean, do you see that as a factor here?
No, again, I see that as a hypocritical argument. I mean, otherwise, you've got retail stores that pay property taxes and have to charge sales tax on their products they sell. So why not them? So no, that's just another argument to get away from the real issue, which that this is a special interest tax break for an industry that's already gotten special interest on this very same issue 4 years ago. They got it into the legislation that to have this tax, you have to have a vote of the people, which, okay, or to raise this tax in your community, you have to have a vote of the people. All the other sales tax don't have those same rules. So they've been down at the trough time and time again. And it may have been your idea, but all I can tell you is for 15 years they've been trying to get this bill.
I understand that. But 48 other states don't allow this. Only Arizona and Alaska allow cities to do this. And there's a reason for it. It's the reason I'm saying. As far as the other issues on motives, I mean, I think that the first thing we hear from the cities, we're going to cut police and fire. Maybe we ought to look at the city's budgets and cut $86 million new city halls, or public art projects in Tempe, or the new light rail in Phoenix, or whatever in your town. We have a $2 million tunnel in Litchfield Park. Maybe some of these need to be looked at, and the priorities of the people need to be focused on what the city can make and what they can spend with actual revenue, rather than going after little subgroups and collecting more revenue.
Well, you confuse capital expenditures with operating expenditures. This is a direct hit to our general fund. And police and fire in our city account for 50% of our general fund. So I think it's disingenuous to say it's not going to affect police and fire when you take $5 million out of my city's general fund.
What do you tell cities like Fountain Hills, towns like Maricopa, that they don't have industry there, they don't have retail there, these are bedroom communities that need this rental tax to keep police and fire going? What do you tell them?
What I tell them are a couple things. A lot of cities are getting along without it. So a lot of cities, big cities and little cities, are getting along just fine without this tax. I think we should look at what they're doing. But because of that, I did a 5-year phase-in. And for those little towns, it was actually a 15-year phase-in. It doesn't take effect for 10 years, and then it's phased in over the next 5. So we have plenty of time to grow the economy. We have plenty of time to look at other sources of revenue or cutting expenditures. But it's a long ways out, and I think just it's a little disingenuous to say, if this bill takes effect, like the league is saying, we're going to cut fire and police, and it's going to be unsafe in your cities.
Disingenuous.
The only people being disingenuous on this particular thing are on that side of the table. The reasons for the bill, you haven't really explained that. It's because of special interest tax breaks. It's for the Multifamily Association, who are building thousands and thousands and thousands of units, and they continue to build them. So this is not an issue, but they want to just put that money in their pockets.
Respond,
That's what-
please.
Yeah, I think that, I'm chairman of Ways and Means. That's all we deal with are taxes, tax policy for the state. So when we look at what we're doing in the state for tax policy, we want fairness and transparency and keep taxes as low as possible. This tax targets a certain segment of society. If you really want it, you should get rid of this tax. And if you can't make it within your budget, then you need to raise your sales tax. And to do that, you have to go to the vote, to the public. And they're going to say, whether it's capital improvements or otherwise, they're going to say, let's look at our pension plans. Let's look at whatever it is that's spending our money. And let's figure out what those priorities should be, rather than going after a certain segment of society.
A couple of things there, though. the pension plan, you guys are the ones that have to make the changes to the pension plan. The cities are just stuck with what's been passed legislatively in terms of funding pension plans. If you guys want to make some real change, you should do it. We would welcome it.
We would like your support in that.
Well, you have to
So,
talk to us.
Absolutely.
Oh, you know what? That's a good place to stop. Gentlemen, good discussion. Good to have you both here. Thank you so
Thanks,
much
Ted.
for joining
Thank you.
us. The state budget passed over the weekend includes big cuts to state universities and community colleges. And here now with a reaction to the budget's numbers for higher education is Patrick Morales, Vice President of the Arizona Students Association, which represents university and community college students. Good to have you here. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
The idea of $99 million cut to university budgets, we'll start there. Your thoughts?
$99 million to higher education, including community colleges. These cuts we feel that aren't only drastic, but they're not feasible and they're not fiscally conservative.
Let's get to community colleges. No funding for Maricopa County and Pima County colleges. Again, thoughts?
No funding for that. That means me personally, I'm going to ASU and MCC. That means my tuition is going to go up. That means every student that goes there, typically they're working, typically they're above 21, 22, and they typically will have to add another job.
Now, the Arizona Board of Regents has said in the past that they don't want to see tuition hikes this year. Obviously, in the community colleges, they don't want to see property taxes hiked either. Is that doable? Do you think that they can, with these kinds of cuts, do tuition hikes have to happen?
I think in the past with Governor Ducey's original proposal, that was an option, but now since it's been raised to $99 million, it's definitely not feasible. They should look for other alternatives.
What other alternatives?
The biggest thing we've been seeing is allocating from other parts of the revenue. For example, we saw that the only thing increased is the prison spending, private prison spending. So we're reinforcing the idea of a school to prison pipeline instead of a school to college pipeline.
Other ideas of revenue, because there is money there, but I mean, the cuts to the university budget are huge, and they've been huge for the past few years, and something's got to give here relatively soon. What do you want to see happen?
Well, the biggest thing as a student association is we want to see the students being able to afford their education. So the state has to realize that it's not spending in education, they have to invest in education.
Do you think that taxes in Arizona should be raised to support higher education?
Yes.
How much?
Well, that depends on this particular legislature, but I think the one idea that came from both sides when I was having conversations with them was to raise penalties for certain things like traffic stops and taxation, and have a quarter of it go to education, half go to the state budget, and a quarter to healthcare.
Has the Students Association been involved in discussions regarding a funding source, a reliable funding source for higher education, be it universities or community colleges?
Yes. So about two years ago, we had a Proposition 204. Previous to that, we had Proposition 100, which was a temporary sales tax for higher education, but it wasn't specifically appropriated for higher education. So it was used to help the state during the recession. So we proposed Proposition 204, which was the same thing in a temporary form and allocated specifically to education. And the main proponent that fought against us was Governor Ducey and his role as state treasurer, because he kept saying that there was money in the budget. We had extra money that we can just pull from and fund education. And now as governor, he's gone with a different role.
Are you saying he was disingenuous in those arguments?
Yes.
You are saying that?
Yes.
Do you think that the governor believes that higher education is a lower priority in Arizona?
I think that's what his plan has shown, and I also think his friends at the legislature on both sides, because we had bipartisan votes on both sides, proves that.
Do you understand the governor's position and the legislature's position? When they only have X amount of dollars, it's very difficult to raise taxes, at least through the legislative process. The initiative process is a whole other matter. But do you understand where they're coming from, that everyone has to cut and universities have to be included?
Yes, I know that they're under pressure to balance the budget. I know we haven't done that in a while, but the best thing from a fiscally conservative side would be to cut based on percentages from every part of the state revenue. So we would see cuts to health, cuts to security, cuts to education as well, but at a more feasible level, instead of just depending on higher education.
As far as the Students Association is concerned, what do you plan to do about this?
Well, we've been down at the Capitol since this first started. I was there since legislation time started at the beginning of February. But we're going to be there tomorrow. We're going to be there the day after. And we're continuing our moves. I know at Northern Arizona University, we had our student rally at University of Arizona and here downtown at the Capitol.
Are you talking to lawmakers one-on-one?
Yes.
And
So
what are you telling them?
we're looking for solutions because both sides seem to be drawing blanks when I ask them for solutions.
Yeah, and I was going to say, what kind of response are you getting when you do talk to lawmakers? What are they telling you?
I think the biggest thing is that they don't seem to have a valid solution. One side wants to raise taxes and not necessarily from all sides of the budget, and the other side wants to lower budget taxes, but then that lowers your quality of education and raises your class size.
As far as the Arizona Students Association, what exactly is that group? Describe it for us.
The Arizona Students Association is a nonpartisan nonprofit. We started in 1974 to advocate for students, so the 3 universities came together to create the association. And recently we added the community colleges because we realized that those schools were really being hit hard with cuts like this.
All right, and you say you're down at the legislature and you will continue to be down at the legislature?
Yes.
Going to try any different tactics since no one seems to be given any solutions?
Yes, the number 1 rule of organizing is to escalate your tactics, so we'll see what we do.
All
this
right,
week.
we'll see what you do too. Thanks for joining us, we appreciate it.
Thank you.
Tonight's edition of Arizona Giving and Leading looks at how keeping up a normal routine can be critical for the education of a hospitalized child. Phoenix Children's Hospital is one of the few hospitals around the country that has a school on its campus. Producer Shauna Fisher and photographer Scott Olson introduce us to one darn cool school.
Then 10, take away 7.
It's the modern-day version of a one-room schoolhouse, but the students here have unique challenges.
They're functioning through medications, they're going through illness. A lot of our kids are very sick, but yet you see them persevering, enduring their illness to make sure that they get their schoolwork done.
One Darn Cool School provides one-on-one classroom instruction as well as bedside learning. The school is open year-round and students range from kindergarten to high school. There are the usual teaching challenges, but Director Betsy Rosebrew says they're magnified here.
A teacher has to be flexible, but I think when you work in a hospital, you have to be even more flexible, if that's even possible. Just knowing to go with the flow. It's not as if you have a classroom and a space in an area. You have to adapt constantly to what's going on around you.
The students can come to the school for as long as they need care at PCH. Buddy Padilla has been a student since he was 7 years old. He suffers from Burns syndrome, which affects his digestive system. He has been in and out of the hospital his entire life. Now 17 and a junior, Buddy says thanks to the teachers, he's only a year behind.
When you come here, you get your homework faxed over, then they help you with it. They help you through it because I've had a lot of holes in my education, and they've helped me fill those holes with math, reading, and all of that.
One Darn Cool School, which was named by a student, started in 1987 with a single volunteer. Today, it employs its own year-round teaching staff. All of the teachers have master's degrees and experience in special education. They work closely with the families, medical staff, and the child's school to make sure academic needs are met.
The majority of what we do is all individualized with our students. Some of our students here receive individual education plans based on what's established from their school setting, but we also work with them on what their needs are.
Medication and illness can wreak havoc on a child's cognitive skills, so successes, no matter how small, are celebrated. When a child does well, a teacher can reward them with school dollars. The dollars can be cashed in for toys or books. It's the idea of still having a school life that is key in helping the kids stay focused and recover.
You come down here and it doesn't really feel schoolish. It feels fun. It feels like you're having a good time, but you're still learning.
My boss has told me a story before about a little 7-year-old who didn't know what was going on. They were very scared about the hospital, and the teacher from the school came to see them. And their comment was, "I must not be dying because of school. A teacher was sent to me." So the whole idea of something normal for a child in a very unfamiliar and atypical situation, and helping keeping them on track and feeling good about who they are, what they're doing, and keeping up with their peers. It's important.
But what may be even more important, the bond that develops between the teachers and the students.
My relationship with the students, I think the kids have done more for me than I could ever do for them. You get to see kids who function through some very, very challenging times, go through some really difficult medical transitions, but to be with them and to work with them is really a blessing to us as staff.
One Darn Cool School is funded 100% through philanthropic sources. If you'd like to donate money or supplies, you can visit the website phoenixchildrensfoundation.org. Next on Arizona Horizon Wednesday, it's our weekly update on what's happening at the state legislature, and we'll have the latest on local retail vacancy rates. That's at 5:30 on the next Arizona Horizon. That is it for now. I'm Ted Simons. Thank you so much for joining us. You have a great evening.
Arizona Horizon is made possible by contributions from the Friends of 8, members of your Arizona PBS station. Thank you.
Virginia G. Piper Charitable Trust, committed to changing lives and strengthening community through investments in nonprofits and strategic initiatives. More information at pipertrust.org.